No, I think they only opened this one recently, but this the store, the company has been around for a while. Um, and I guess we should say I should look it up and see what who the company that or the YouTuber that put me onto this was, because I was just surfing the YouTubes, like you do when you're an addict to camping and camping gear. And this thing came on and said like Japanese dollar store finds. And this guy, the whole thing, they're talking about this guy. He went to Japan, and while he was there, he found this dollar store, and he was really excited about it. And he brought back all the stuff, and everything he brought back, I think he figured it was $130 worth of stuff. He brought back in his carry on, and him and his buddy were reviewing. It was entertaining. If you see the video, watch it and tell them we sent you. If you figure,
Fair
but
enough.
I think Deza is the name of the. I sent you a link.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I have it here, and I'll include it in the description here. They said I had
yeah.
no sound at the start. Everything looks good on my end, folks. Tell me if it's good or not, because I'm not redoing the intro. It was only 3 seconds. Keep going, Ben.
So, anyways, me and the wife were talking about it, and she said, "There's one just up the street, Ben." And I'm like, and it is like I can't throw a rock that far because, well, I can't. But if I don't think anyone could throw a rock. I could shoot a bullet that far. So it's not far. Like I can walk up there in inside of 10 minutes or so. So we go up and take a check out, and a lot of the stuff that was this guy showed was there. Now there's a couple of things we wanted to see wasn't there. I don't know why. Maybe it's just not here right now. Maybe it'll be there later. Maybe they're sold out. But there were some neat things. And then I got thinking, because we've done dollar store shows before where we talked about it, or even talked about maybe doing an overnight trip just on stuff you can buy in a dollar store. And if I can now use this Japanese dollar store, I think I got an advantage over you, buddy.
Well, for sure. The thing is with dollar stores here, and as most of our listeners are going to say, nothing's a dollar anymore. I was in at the local Dollarama, or yeah, Dollarama, and I think I've seen things as high as $6 now. Like that's the standard
Right.
price. Like that's not a dollar store anymore, man. That's what is that? That's like a buck or two, or a buccaneer is what they used to be called back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, and it has gone that way, but it's still like I found some really good things in dollar stores. I found a Milwaukee um, pocket knife. I think we may have talked about it in the past.
Yes.
I can't remember. Uh, I think we paid $5 for it. It's 25, $30 in Home Depot at the time, but they were only there for a little while. We also bought a bread knife the other day, and my wife looked it up, and they're like $50 online. The same bread knife, exact same. Like,
Oh man,
you know,
I've seen, and this is slightly off topic for us, but marble cutting boards at the dollar store. And I mean, it's a
yeah,
solid chunk of marble. They were selling them for $5, but I mean, just go to the hardware store and buy a solid chunk of marble. It's gonna be more than $5. Like, it's crazy what gets in there sometimes. And this is kind of the misconception on dollar stores: is everything that comes in there is cheap. Some stuff is cheap. Other stuff is just overstocked or outdated or like 4 years ago's model or something like that. You know what I mean? It doesn't always necessarily mean it's made cheap, just means they got it cheap somewhere.
yeah, and exactly. They bought a bulk amount, or there's a business going out of business, or they. I bought the Ginsu knives years ago in one, and that was that was a big as seen on TV thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, let's get back on topic. So this place has an outdoor section. It's almost a half an aisle, I guess, dedicated to just outdoor stuff, which is kind of cool. And you can find some of the same stuff in other parts of the store, so it's not exclusive to that. There was a little folding table that looked kind of nice. I didn't get it. There was a bunch of stuff I did not get. There was a lot of stoves, like the Isbit style stoves, different designs. There was a little coffee filter thing that looked pretty cool. So I think there's two versions of that. If I drank coffee, I'd probably have bought one. As we know, Mr. Greening does not drink coffee.
Much like
That
me,
is not
drinks
his.
tea, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'll drink tea all day, right? I probably do drink tea most days. So I picked up this little misket, and it it was, I think, 700 yen, which works out to, I don't know, like 10, $12. It's not all that expensive. And is that a great deal? I don't know. But I've spent $30 on a tin, similar volume, not shape by any means, because it was made of titanium. This is thin, seems to be like an aluminum or steel. It's hard to tell for sure. I could test it quickly with a magnet. Yeah, it's aluminum for sure. So, anyways, the lid's not watertight by any means. Like if you fill it with fluid, you're not going to carry it on. But also there I got, and I can't remember what this was, maybe 400 yen or something, was a little plastic case that fits perfectly inside, like designed for it. The company that makes it is Solox. It says outdoor gear, all in English. Interestingly enough, like their packaging is all in Japanese. But and I was showing you some of this stuff. A little set of screw together chopsticks.
And I think those are so neat. And you know what? I had this debate with other people, and slight tangent, but still okay. I argue a lot of times that chopsticks are just as good to take in the woods as like a fork and knife and stuff like that, depending on what you're eating, of course. But I like it better, especially for like the GI cup style and stuff like that. You can reach down into it a lot more accurately, I find, than with some of the little travel forks. Now, if you bring a straight up fork, absolutely, you can do whatever. But like the little camping forks or fooms or spoons or sporks or whatever you want to call them, they tend to be short, and I don't know. I was just using one today. Like I was telling you, Ben, I'm working remotely here, and I was making my lunch and stuff. I brought my little butane stove, and I was using my little spork thing, and reaching down in the GI cup, I'm like holding on to the end tab of the spoon, trying to eat some pasta is what I had brought with me, and I was cooking that up. And as soon as I seen the chopsticks, I was like, probably wouldn't have been a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and believe it or not, I'm not as bad as using a chopsticks as you might think for somebody who's basically a redneck and as uncultured as they come. But yeah, no, I think they're great. I'm looking forward to using them. The one thing I'll say about these, when I first put them together, the threads were a little bit chintzy. I had to kind of work them in and out a couple of times, but they seem to be cleared out now. So maybe there's a little bit of rough material left in the threads, but it seems cleared up now. What didn't take me more than 5 minutes. So, I bought it at the at a basically a dollar store, so I'm not going to complain too much. But yeah, that's neat. Fits in the package really well. There's plenty of room for more things. They had forks and spoons that fold up, probably anodized aluminum with a steel skeleton back that folds over, easily would fit in here. And I found this little scraper, and this is really neat. Like I really like this, where you can kind of like scrape out any like burnt on food and stuff. Kind of got 3 scraping surfaces on it, and the whole thing kind of collapses into itself into a nice, neat little package that I can put into that same container. So all that stuff I could put in there, and it snaps together. And I don't think that's a seal. Like I'm not going to put a soup in there and think it's going to be fine. But I can put some dry goods in there, maybe a little baggie of food that I'm going to hydrate in there. I could do different things, or I can just have that separate. But that's a fully cooked set. I could get a couple of like Esbit tablets put in there, and then a stove. And there's my whole cook system, like utensils, pot, lid, everything folds up. That can go in a pocket. I could easily go in the back of my motorcycle. I got plenty of spots for that. So when I'm out going somewhere, that is probably a nice little lightweight kit. If I want to take my BSR stove, I could throw that in there. They had a container to hold the cans for like the BSI or BSR stove. So any of those, like the little, what do you call them? Compressed gas.
Yeah, the, like isobutane or whatever. Same thing I was
Yeah.
using today, basically, the little compressed cylinders.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought it was a neat little package. I don't know. That probably cost me maybe $20, maybe a little more, maybe less. I think all told we spent over $50, but the wife got a few things there too.
You know what that kind of reminds me of when I first seen it? Do you know they used to make a thing for snowmobiles that you could strap to the muffler that would heat your meal up, and it looks almost identical to that. And every time you're holding it there, I'm looking at it going, you know what? If the rubber was taken off the handle, and I know that's modifying it, but anyway, then you take some bacon and put it in like some parchment paper and throw in that thing and jam it in against the header. I wonder if it would cook as you're driving.
There's a couple of places on my motorcycle I could probably just wedge it.
And that's what I mean. I'm thinking on my bike, I could get it up in the header there with something like bacon. I'm thinking grease. I don't want that running down on the header and stuff. So if you put in some parchment paper and put it up there just right, I would almost guarantee that would cook. You know what I mean? It would be interesting to do some experimentation with it.
If I knew it wasn't going to tip too much, also just like a couple of scrambled eggs, bit of ham and some, But I mean, that's easy there. Now there was a lot of stuff there. I found some small cast iron frying pans and stuff I really liked them because they had a higher, like, they were small, probably a swidgen smaller than I would like, but they had higher edges than normal. Like, a lot of the really small cast iron pans you get around
Yeah,
here,
they're really
it's
shallow.
just got like half inch. Well, these got like an inch and a quarter inch, like lip. So I would feel better cooking like a little steak in
I was gonna say,
there,
you could
or
actually
a
cook
couple
meat
of
on that.
eggs, but good enough for one person to make a breakfast or a decent lunch. Maybe some, if you wanted to do a stir fry or something in it, you could easily do it. Wouldn't feed a family, but a lot of times we're just feeding ourselves, so you don't need all that much. And if you want to be creative with it, I'm sure you could do more, right? So maybe a couple of those, get your starch, whatever that happens to be, potato. I don't want to say rice to everything, but I think this goes really well with rice. And honestly, it's hard to beat like a good rice or a noodle, like Lipton Sidekick. Do you think you could do one of those in here?
Oh, that
So,
would be real good.
yeah. The other thing they had, and I didn't buy it, and I know I'm going to buy it, is they had the smallest Dutch oven I have ever seen.
Now, see, there's something I'd be interested in. I've been watching Dutch ovens here, and I've been watching at Canadian Tire. I've been watching at. We have, and I know you'll know what these are, Ben, but for the rest of our listeners, we may not have it. And this is kind of where I'm going with my side of this. You know, the old UFO stores, the overstock supplies?
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
like super discounters up here. And I don't know if you folks have them down south or in the rest of the world. We call them UFO. They're just overstock stores.
I've only ever seen them in Nova Scotia, buddy.
And that's the thing. I think they're only here, but basically it's just the same thing. They buy stuff in bulk, and then they turn around and try and sell it off at ridiculously low prices, or at least some of it's at ridiculously low prices. Some of it you got to watch. But that's the kind of stuff they got. They always have like the little cast iron things, and I'm always looking for a small Dutch oven because I don't need a full-size Dutch oven, and I don't want to carry that weight around. I want something that's small enough, almost individual. You know what I mean?
So this one here, I would say, is about the size of an average soup can.
Now, see, that's kind of cool. It might be a little too small. Do you mean like 3-inch?
No, I mean like you could take the entire contents of a can of soup or a can of beans, like that size.
Oh, okay.
And pour into it. It's a little bit wider, and it has the indents to put some embers on top. And actually, when you look at it on the picture, they show that. I'll have to get one to show you.
Yeah, I was going to say, now you're going to have to show me. You got me interested. Well, if it's on the website, and folks, I am going to throw I'm trying to figure out if I can do it while we're live. I'm just trying not to actually screw up the live feed. I'm going to put that link to it in the description here because they do have like a main site, and they do list a lot of the stuff they're selling on the site. And I was absolutely floored. As Ben was telling me about it, we were chatting here before the show like we normally do, and I'm looking through it. And like I said, they have a little bit of everything. Like, literally everything.
Now, if you, and we're probably butchering the name, if you find out about us and you want to sponsor us, we're game for it.
Absolutely. Let's go
in the meantime, I don't expect that to happen. The other thing I was going to share with you, because this is what my wife bought, she was excited for this. 4 eggs, 4-egg container. And I showed this to you earlier, but I have to show everyone. Inside, didn't come with it, but they're designed to fit in it. They actually show it, I think, in the picture. A little salt and pepper shaker. And they're really kind of neat. You just screw the top off, and you can put salt in one, pepper in the other. I usually end up putting the wrong one in. I like the pepper to flow better than the salt.
Me too.
By design, they usually put it the other way. Or this could even the other one could easily be an oil one. I think you could definitely put oil in it because it's just a single hole in the middle. But you could put oil or something in it. But there you have it. Like maybe you just mix your salt and pepper in one.
I've seen lots of people do that. I mean, the salt tends to be heavier and gets further down, but
but yeah, you put in like 2/3 pepper and 1/3 salt, or maybe 3/4 pepper and 1/4 salt. Mix it up really good, and then you got like a little. And you think about it, that and that little tin kit. I can probably. That'll do me 24 hours.
Oh, easy. Absolutely easy.
Right?
And that's what we were saying before the show. No, it's not going to feed a family of 5, but one person, It's going to keep you from starving for a day, and it's going to be a good meal. Like, if you're on a long hike, is what I see. You're hiking in somewhere, checking something out. You're going to come back out. You're going to stop at you'll be at your car or truck or whatever it is. And on your way home, you'd stop for a burger. Well, instead of stopping for a burger, bring a meal, and you can have a decent meal. And everybody makes
We've
fun of
talked
me. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ben.
we've talked about it before. Like some of my favorite quick, easy, bring go to the store. You're going to save yourself a fortune over going to Mech or any of these other ones buying dehydrate meals. Pick yourself up a Lipton Sidekick, preferably not one of the ones that say creamy because they usually need a milk, but ones that just need water. And then pick yourself up a can of any meat, chicken, tuna, whatever you happen to like, ham. It's all good, and just mix them together. And then you have a decent meal right there. Just one pack with that. Do that, and then for breakfast, 2 eggs, and maybe a small bun or something to go with it. I'm happy, man. A couple of pieces of cheese. And there's two good meals, and probably for lunch, I'll just take an energy bar. So if I'm going for like a full day, and that's like get up in the morning, have my breakfast, then have a snack, some trail mix and an energy bar, and then for supper I had that Lipton thing, or rice and some kind of protein that I can add into it. And that's a decent meal. Like, you're doing well. Like, you're not going to starve to death like that. And if you're like me and you, we can afford to lose a pound or two in case we didn't get quite enough calories. But chances are we're not losing nothing.
And that's the thing. You can eat really good in the woods, and this is what Ben has always preached, and I've since started preaching. You don't have to eat like you're starving in the woods when you're on these trips and stuff. So definitely be adventurous with your meals. Like I said, the last few days I've been working remotely. I took soup, like not a can of soup. I took straight up homemade soup that was frozen in a jar. Put the lid on it, you know what I mean? Left it in the truck for the day to kind of defrost. Come lunch, it was like mostly defrosted. I could take the spoon, put it in the little GI cup ahead, fired up the stove, and off it went. And everybody's looking at me like I got 6 heads. And they're like, well, we're going for burgers. And I'm like, why would I go for burgers? I got like good homemade soup here that's going to fill me better. I'm not going to get heartburn off it. I'm going to feel full longer. I know where all the ingredients came from because I purchased them and made them. And you know what? It's way healthier for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's easy to make a good soup. I'm not a soup fan in general, but I do realize it, and I really too want to get into the thing of making like the pre-made, like all the dry ingredients in a single jar, and it's easy to do. And if you're unsure how to do it, go to not the bulk barn, and you could pick up enough ingredients for probably 15-20 bucks to go weeks. Get some stock with either beef or chicken, like the powdered stuff. Get some grains, noodles, whatever you want to put into it. There's a bunch of other things, and then get some dehydrated vegetables that they have there. Throw all that in, and then whatever you want to add. Like sometimes there's something you want to add afterwards, so you may want some meats or something. But again, canned goods, canned meats is really good for stuff like that, and you can make a very, very hearty meal out
Oh,
of that.
absolutely. Just want to throw a few shout outs there because I do see a new name popping up in the chat. Not sure if this feller's been here before or not, but I'm going to give a hey to Richard. Richard Rowland 7044. Welcome to the show. If you've been here before, I apologize for not remembering, but we also have Steve joining us, Andrew joining us, Eric joining us, of course. Our usual haunts there. Welcome to all you fellas as well. What's Steve saying here? Bottled porridge soup, man.
Oh yeah.
Best I ever had in the woods. What's bottled porridge soup? Like just porridge soup in a bottle? Is that what I'm getting out of this?
He's gonna post the recipe. That's what
I'm hoping Steve will share it here. And Richard was saying a can of Hormel roast beef hash, and that's pretty common too. And believe it or not, you can get roast beef hash, or at least corned beef hash, which is slightly different, from the Dollaramas. You know what I mean? Pretty high in sodium, but I mean at the same time, you're usually sweating a lot when you're out in the woods, so the little extra salt. Partridge soup. My bad. Oh. Partridge. Bottled partridge soup.
Yeah. I mean, bottled meat was always big back home. Bottled moose meat. I don't know how many times I've taken that to places, and people love that. Yeah. So if you can get a good bottled, or you get into canning, I mean, we could do a whole episode on canning if I was
Oh man,
more into it.
it's something I want to get into way more. I'm gonna do half a can of Spam. I was gonna say the Spam, but you know what? Spam's been beaten like a dead horse, so I wasn't gonna mention it. But Spam is good. Spam is good for a filler. My only caveat on Spam: soak it in water for a few minutes. It'll get rid of some of the excess saltiness because I do find it very salty.
If I can find it, and I know it's down the States, and I have seen it, you can get envelopes, Spam envelopes.
I've
And
seen
it's
it in
not
tuna.
available here in Canada, but it's like a single serving of Spam already in like the Tetra packs. And so it's shelf stable, like you could carry. And I've also seen ham done that way and a few other things. So whenever I find those packages, and some of them you can find in Canada, okay, that's a really favorite of mine because it doesn't take up any room. It's not like a cam where it's harder to pull out of the woods. You can just squeeze it out, and I mean, in some cases you can completely dispose of it easily, but generally you can poke it in the bottom of your bag and get rid of it easily when you get out. So I like that. I like things that doesn't make it bulkier. So I try not to take canned foods, canned drinks, things like that if I can avoid it in the woods. So I'm always looking for solutions or reusable type containers. Yeah, so I mean, those are some really quick and dirty ideas. They also had some A-frames in there you could hang your stuff off of. They had a tripod you could probably put over the fire. There's so much stuff in this store that you could use. And this is not to say that this is the best dollar store I've ever been in, but it might be. But you can find some awesome stuff in these, discount dollar store, these type of places. You don't need to spend a fortune on a lot of the gear, and sometimes and Robert will back me up on this. I'm 99% sure. Sometimes it's the funnest stuff to get. Like,
Oh my god.
you know,
You're out nothing, so you don't mind trying stuff. You know what I mean? It's not like you're buying a $200 mess kit and you're worried you're going to scratch the ionization off it. You spend $16, you're going to beat the heck out of that thing, have a ton of fun with it, learn what you can do, what you can't do, and worst case, what do? You go back and spend another $16.
oh yeah, but that's the thing. Like when you go to the big box stores and you buy like the big brands, the ones that everyone talks about on YouTube, you spend a small fortune. You're half afraid to use it the way it really is meant for, and then if anything ever happens to it, you feel like the sinking feeling in your butt. Like I just spent $100 and then I lost or broke it right away.
Tent, that's the feeling everybody gets. Brand new tent, you jam a stick through it. You know what I mean? We've all been there once when we were kids, when we were adults, whatever.
Yeah.
Instant coffee, Tang powdered Kool-Aid. Yeah, all things you can take in. With fresh bread, nope, nothing better. So bottled moose. What's bottled moose? For anybody that doesn't know, bottled moose or canned moose, it's just that, folks. You take meat, you put it in a bottle, you kind of can it. It self-cooks in its own juices. You seal this thing up, and it becomes shelf stable. And you can actually, like, it makes its own gravy sauce in it, if that makes like, people that are good at it make it really good. And anyway, you just kind of pop the top open, pour it in a pan, reheat it up to 165, and you're golden, pony boy. It's delicious.
Oh, it's so tender, and you throw some onions in there, sop it up with some bread and butter, and yeah, you're like then I'm instantly somehow back in Newfoundland.
I was gonna say, is this an East Coast thing? Like, does this not happen anywhere else? You folks out there, you tell us. Like, this is just normal stuff for us, I guess, but does this happen anywhere else? Canned moose? Well, moose here is a big thing, but just canned meats in general.
Bottle moose back home was almost a staple, and so many people had it. When you got a handle in getting it, it was the best thing ever. Yeah, and so I remember a number of times I got back to a cabin, or you go to a boil up, and a boil up, if anyone doesn't know what a boil up is literally you just go in the woods, you boil some water, you have a cup of tea, and you do a little meal. You have sandwiches, or you cook something up over the fire, and in Newfoundland, like the snow sometimes was so deep, we'd have to take 4 or 5 logs and lay down on the ground to have a fire on top of the logs. Otherwise, when you were finished, the fire was, 5-6 feet below you by the time you were finished. So you had to prop it up on a little raft on top of the snow. And you'd be saying, yeah, I can remember sitting on the side of a snowmobile. And now I think of it, this is not the smartest thing I've ever done. And you had the fire only a few feet away, and these things leaked. Like they were environmental.
Oh God! If you're driving a snowmobile and it doesn't smell like gas, are you driving a snowmobile?
I was driving a 1970s, like early 70s snowmobile.
Let me guess, Arctic Cat or Bombardier? Which one, Arctic Cat or Bombardier? It's one of the two. Guaranteed.
Bombardier.
Yeah.
It was a snowmobile. It was a snowmobile. It was a ski-doo, buddy. Olympic, 1974, with parts off of 73.
Absolutely. That's East Coast fun right there. Bottled deer is amazing too. I don't think I've actually had bottled deer. I've done the bottled moose. I've done bottled beef. I don't think I've done bottled deer though. What about you,
Yeah,
Ben?
process. I don't think I've had very little venison. Like honestly, deer has not been a thing I've gotten a lot of. I mentioned it to a coworker one time. It's a funny story, and he brought me some. And he damn near rode his car off because when he took the off ramp to my place, it had a sign saying 60, and he thought that was like a suggestion, but it's an actual.
More of a warning in this instance.
So when he hit it at like 100 in the icy conditions, he hit a pole or something. So he was kind of pissed off about that. But if Danny, if you're ever listening, thanks for the meat. Like that's probably the only time I've had deer in my life. Well, I've had caribou and moose more than probably anyone ever should. And I absolutely love it. And you know, a good meal of wild meat is hard to beat. And rabbit. A lot of people use bottle rabbits. You can bottle a whole rabbit.
Yeah, I've heard of people doing it. Once again, I don't know the process. It's something I want to get into this year, along with the gardening and other stuff I'm doing as part of the self-reliance I'm trying to flip this year. So I may be hitting you up for some information on that because it sounds like you know a little bit more about it.
I haven't done it a lot, but I'm trying to remember if some people put onions in it when they bottle, or if we always put it in after.
I've
But
seen
it's
it
like,
with it in there. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But
I feel like I have, but it's generally just like salt, pepper, water, not very much, and just like you said, the process of bottling it boils it and seals it, and then it's good. It's shelf stable for years, and I've seen it like 5, 6, 10 years old. People still open it up, and it's good.
Yep.
Yeah, should you? I don't know.
I mean, something's going to kill us all eventually. Might as well
Not
roll
me
the
to
dice
say.
on good food.
But yeah, so that's sort of the thing, you know, like getting the stuff. Like, I mean, it's probably not $1,000 quality stuff, but very functional. And definitely, you know, I've spent more for less. 100% have. And I'm looking forward to testing some of this out. But I feel like going up there, I could create a very simple, affordable 1 day to 2 day kit for one person, and that's still ideal. Like even if you're traveling with a large group, if everyone has their own 1 to 2 day kit, uh, that works out really well. Like it's really good if everyone's carrying. So if you can carry some lightweight kits and you can figure out something like that, especially if you have people who want to join you and they don't want to spend a lot of money, but they want to get a good feel for it, suggesting things like that. Say, hey, if you're really into this, or you really want to know if you're into this, go here, buy this 5 or 6 things, and you're going to feel like you have a decent kit. You get out there, and then later, if you want to upgrade something to, you know, a Tokes or something like that, like I'm not going to knock a nice titanium pot. You know, you're not going to hear me do that. But do you need to buy a $60 Tokes pot with you know, when you can get like all of this and money to spare? Like,
And that's the thing. It's always good. I know we kind of talk out of both sides of our mouth on this one. Pay once, cry once. But sometimes it is worth starting cheap, especially if you're not sure if you're going to be interested in doing something. Get stuff that's good, and then you can find stuff that's better later. But if you already know you like something and you've already tried good, now you're moving into the, you know, pay once, cry once territory. In my opinion.
Make that decision to upgrade when you need to. But in the meantime, when you're done, like it's always a spare kit. Like if you need an extra kit for somebody, or if you meet somebody else is into it and say, hey, I got this stuff, I don't need it anymore. Would you like it? And you can hand off this little kit and it's slightly used, so they know it's, you know, it's serviceable. It worked for you for a while, and they'll generally people will be happy they got something to start with. I have made. I mean, what would go really well with that is a little the alcohol penny stoves.
Yeah, 100%. 420 Freestyle 1 also joining us here in the comments says onions and salt pork and the bottled stuff. And that sounds about right. I know salt pork was thrown in a little bit for flavoring. Most
Especially
game meat tends to be very lean, you know what I mean? So a little bit of fat goes a long way.
That actually really rings a bell there. Especially rabbit and moose is such a lean meat. Rabbit is super lean.
Super lean. You can actually get protein poisoning from rabbits.
Well, I remember cooking rabbit. We used to roast a lot of rabbits. We used to cover them in bacon. Like you'd lay 4 or 5 strips of bacon over the top. There's usually an apple in there to helps keeps it moist and tender too. And then we would often make a pastry put over the top of the whole thing.
Hmm.
And you could throw some carrots and peas and potatoes in there, and then that was your whole meal, one pot meal. Uh, my grandmother and my mother could probably tell you the better story, but they're not around anymore. But I'm sure there's plenty of people I could call, like my Uncle John or Uncle Jerry, and either of them would probably be able to really set me straight on how to do it right.
Mm.
And they say make a little gravy with it, and man, it is probably the best meal.
Oh
And
man,
I
it's
wonder
so
if
good.
you wouldn't do a whole rabbit in that little Dutch oven, but I could do a half a rabbit.
See, that'd be good. And I don't know, maybe this is once again maybe mine more neck of the woods. I know you don't do bread now, but before, bread and molasses, that always used to
Oh,
be the dessert for us. Bread, butter, and molasses.
so if you go to the grocery store, and I think it's called Brody's self-rising flour, or so it already has like the yeast or something added in it, or you just take because everyone will give you a recipe for the best bannock, and I don't know the recipe for the best bannock, but I got the recipe for the easiest bannock, and it's that Brody self-rising flour. You go, you buy some of that, you just measure out what you want in a Ziploc bag, you put it in your thing, and when you get to the site where you want to go, just open it up, pour some water until the consistency is about what you want, smush it around in the bag, and then you just cook that up, push it out, cook it as a lot loaf on top of the fire, however you want to do it, put it on a piece of wood. I don't care what your method is. Wrap around a stick for all I care. But it is the easiest bannock I've ever made. Throw it in a frying pan, make toutons out of it. I don't care. It works great. And then, like you said, a little bit of butter, salted butter. Anyone who's eating that non-salted butter, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you need to get checked out.
Animals.
Salt, salted butter, frying it up in salted butter and a little bit of molasses smeared on it afterwards, and maybe some more butter on the top to seal it in. If you're putting butter down first and molasses on it, again, you're doing it wrong. Molasses goes in first, and the butter seals it in. If you're doing it wrong, get yourself checked out again. Sorry, very very controversial today. You're telling you how to
Okay,
eat.
if I hear one person say what's molasses, I will lose my mind on this one.
Molasses is a Newfoundland staple. I don't know if
I think it's an East Coast staple, man. It was always in the pantry here. Holy crap, we're at 33 minutes. We digressed, as we usually do.
We digressed and completely went off the rails with this one, but yeah, I think there's some good information in this. There's definitely things to do when you get out there. Yeah, dollar store stuff. You can pick up some really cool stuff. Get out there, have some fun. I could easily bake a beautiful little loaf in this, man. I could do a great loaf in this.
I was just sitting here thinking, man, that would be the perfect size of bread to just like, if you were a bread eater, sit down with a little butter and molasses and just go to town. That is your meal at that point. Like, you were just pumping calories and carbs pointlessly, but it is delicious.
So you fill that with bread, then take it out, pour it, and just put your wiener right through it.
Exactly.
Anyways, things you can do while you're in the woods
Lazy bread.
by Ben and Robert. Yeah, no, I mean, you so much fun you could have with that. I think it's a great little kit. There's options I have yet to think of, but I'm sure there's coming to me left, right, and center. So yeah, get out there, have some fun, enjoy it. But like, you don't have to spend a fortune. These dollar stores are a great place to find some fun things, and it really gives you an idea of what you can and can't do, and experiment. Like we talk about with a lot of our gear. Yes, the buy once, buy really cool gear and have it for life. Like good tents, good hammocks. We've talked about that, but we both started with some of the cheapest stuff on the market, and I can't knock it. Like sometimes it's worth spending just a couple of bucks to see if you like it, right?
Oh, 100%.
Um,
I think I started my YouTube, I'm not going to say career because we don't get paid, but I started my YouTube channel originally around budget bushcrafting, working off a website called GearBest at the time. I don't think that website even functions anymore. But anyway, it was like dirt cheap stuff. It was the many
Timo.
Timo predecessors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, they sell cool electronics too for really cheap. I don't know if it was good electronics, but it was cool.
cool electronics.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's so much you can do out there. There's so much you can do, and sometimes like just making your own gear is good too. We've talked about gear you can make with really simple products. and that brings a level of satisfaction too. I think doing it cheaply is sometimes more satisfactory than spending a fortune and going out and doing well, because you feel like you bought this experience. But when you did it yourself, you're like, hey, I made or
I
earned
earned
this
this
experience.
experience.
Yeah. But I'm not taking away from anything. If you manage to walk to the top of like some mountain, or you do a trail that's like really hard and you happen to have the best of gear, more power to you. It's great. It's wonderful. I'm envy you, and I've probably been you at some point in time too. So I'm not dixing it, but I'm saying there's other options too. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
say that there's $100 pieces of gear here that I rarely use that I'm still excited to
There's
own.
quote to
So
both. You know what I mean? It's nice to be the
absolutely.
top of it. Sometimes it's fun to be the bottom of it. Richard here saying
Oh,
thrift stores, you can find good bargains, Goodwill, Dollar Store, Dollar Tree, all that stuff here. I hit thrift stores. We got not Johnny Tiger, Value Village is what we got here, and man, I'm always cruising that for a deal on something that I can spin into a bushcrafting item.
we found the was it Whisperlight?
Yep.
MSR Whisperlight whole kit at I think it was Value Village. No, it wasn't.
Nice.
It was Salvation Army.
Okay.
But it was the pot, the compressed gas, Whisperlight stove, everything. My wife found it, I think $5 or less.
Wow.
And you know, it's like an $80-$90 kit. Yeah, and we were just excited to have it. So now she still has that kit. It's a really good kit. It's a solid kit. Can't knock it. It's a pot, like a proper aluminum anodized pot with like hand thing on it. There's I think a Fortnite. There's things inside of it. It was a really cool kit. Really exciting to find. And so that sits there as one of our pieces of gear. We have a ridiculous sized Rubbermaid container or two full of kitchen gear that we can't decide to get rid of because it's useful in some situation. So I wish I could give some of it away. So, yeah. But yeah, no, me and you, I know you're just as bad as I am. We love finding new gear, testing it out, seeing how it works, seeing how it compares to more expensive gear, cheaper gear, and other options. But yeah, that was kind of the point of today's show, is to get out there, find new things, figure out what you can do with it, and really enjoy that trip. Or that, you know, it could be anything. It could be a picnic at your local walking park, to, you know, going back to a 3-day trek to a site or a lake or a waterfall or a hot spring that nobody's ever been to, you know, that you found on Google Maps by spending hours on satellite view and trying to figure out how to get there. I think we've both done trips like that too, right? Like
No,
just chose a
100%.
random spot in the middle of nowhere. Like, I'm going here.
Yep. Just
No,
literally, and we've had good times with that, bad times with that. I went looking for a lake that didn't exist, so.
I found a lake that did.
There you go. Just a couple last comments here because I try to throw everybody up when I can. Find your late 1970s sewing machine, learn how to sew, and you can get web gear, Molly 2 gear, and make all sorts of attachments and backpacks. Absolutely. You think Ben and I have both done this. I made a roll-up spice rack with onion powder, garlic powder, curry powder, and salt powder. I was going to say, you done something similar, didn't you, Ben? You got a little weather spice kit.
Actually, I did mine completely out of leather and no sew kit. Like, it's a really neat little thing. All I did is I got the vials from the dollar store, and I went to Value Village, and I found a woman's leather coat, and I de-stitched it, and I cut a square just enough that I could fold it over to protect it all, and then I wrapped it around into a circle that fit just into my mug. And that allowed me to have enough salt, pepper, Italian spice, because I love that. I think there's cinnamon in there because we used to do that on our oatmeals. There's also salt or low calorie sugars. There's a few other spices. I know there's Montreal steak spice, because you can't have a kit without that, and a few other spices that I just like. So it's really neat because you can put all that together. What I've always wanted, and I'll find eventually, is a better way to carry a small amount of oil for cooking, maybe 1 to 2 days. But yeah, something like that. And again, something like that I could put in here. I could do a really nice little spice kit slash cook, you know, that's all you want. Like, spices make a meal. They really do. And then all you really need is some kind of starch, potato, You can buy mashed potato mix at any dollar store, any Walmart, anywhere that'll last you weeks in a small amount, or a small thing of rice or noodles, and you can make some really cool meals, and it's so much better with the right spices and a little bit of oil. Like, so yeah, that's my push to get you out there, cook something up. Yeah.
I think that's a good spot to end her here for tonight. What's this? I put oil in a 2-ounce dropper bottle. That's like the little eyedropper bottle. I've seen the little bottles he has because he's given me some tinctures before.
What I have done is, it's somewhat successful, is the water droplets, the ones you can put, like especially the Kool-Aid ones, because they're bigger.
Yep.
When you're finished with those, rinse them out 2 or 3 times. You twist the top about 90 degrees, and it pops off. They are pretty watertight, like they don't leak. You can put some oil in that. That doesn't do too bad. Just shape's not quite perfect for what I want, but the volume's about right. So yeah, that's
Oil
that's a good
creeps worse
option.
than water does too. You know what I mean? It'll find
Somehow.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But it has they have a no mess like seal, so it only releases when you pressure it, and it locks down. And then the cover on it helps again. Just make sure it stays out of pressure. So that works. It's just not quite the shape I'm looking for. Maybe this egg is the solution. I don't know. I may play with that like this, but and also, while we were talking and we mentioned the penny stove. See, you're gonna have to shut me up soon. I think this one, because I think it is meant for fluid. I think you could put alcohol in this, and it would be enough for about 2 boil ups.
that's what I was wondering. I've seen and once again we're way over on this and off in left field, but have you seen the guys that cut the stones out of like fire brick and soak them in alcohol and then light those up? That's a whole other thing. You have to be really careful cutting those, of course, because they can put a lot of particles in the air. You have to do it. Yeah, that you just you use a whole saw and cut them underwater.
So I don't remember how I did this one, but I made this one. Again, see, you're gonna have to shut me up. But yeah, I found the bricks somewhere. I don't remember where. And I found this pill container. And I think it was a cleaning stone, I think. But it's
Like a
very
pumice stone
porous,
for-
super light.
Like a pumice stone for cleaning a grill.
Yeah, I think it was what it was. And I sat down and I hammered off the sides and then slowly grinded away till they just fit in this container. And I soaked them in alcohol, and they do work. You can soak them in, just the pair of them, and sit them down, and they'll burn for a while. It is a functioning system. My container isn't as sealed as I thought it was, so it did eventually evaporate out. But yeah, I definitely seen them. Those were made out of pizza stones, if I remember correctly. The original
maybe
guy
so.
did it.
Maybe you're right. That's pizza stones.
But yeah, apparently it works really well. My method's okay, but I think you really want to pre-soak them for a bit, and you light them up and they'll run for quite a while, more than long enough to boil a small cup of water or something. And so you can do some cool meals that way. There are a lot of really cool options out there, man. The fun is at experimenting and finding what works for you and what brings you joy. Because in the end, it doesn't really matter how you cook your meal. Whatever makes you happiest is what you need to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, so good spot to end for tonight, for however many times this is, before we go off on another tangent. Not that it's wrong with that. Anybody that's joined us for this amount of time knows that we go off on tangents, and that's just what we do. It's our show, and we'll do what we want. Anyway, no. Yeah, we just do that. We're passionate about what we do. We love this stuff, and hopefully you folks do too. But yeah, food for thought, like Ben said, just get the creative juices going. That's all any of this ever is. It's just to get you thinking, hopefully give some ideas, or at least get some ambition to go try something that's a little different. So yeah, until next week, folks, have a good night.